Hello, everybody. My name is John Herstein. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Box, but more importantly, a volunteer for Boise Entrepreneur Week. And I'm super excited to be moderating a conversation today on thinking global. I'm very pleased to be joined by Karen Ballard, an international trade specialist who works for U.S. Commercial Services. So welcome, Karen.
Well, hi, John.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Good. Well, we've got a ton of things to talk about here, and we're hoping this is going to be useful and very pragmatic advice for budding entrepreneurs here in the area. And we're going to start with just a little bit of background because I suspect a lot of people don't really know much about your organization. So let's start with what is the organization's mission and who do you serve?
Well, our goal is to help expand the U.S. economy and grow U.S. jobs. Big job for us. The reason we do this, it strengthens U.S. national and economic security. So it's all about helping U.S. businesses export goods and services to grow their businesses. And I am specifically focused on Idaho businesses.
Well, that's very cool. So you're working for the federal government, but your focus is specifically on businesses that are based right here in Boise and broader Idaho.
Yes, as a commercial specialist, I help Idaho businesses export goods and services. And I am just one of 106 offices, I think we're up to now in the United States. So pretty much there's an office servicing every single state, and obviously in some states, many more. For Idaho, we're based in Boise, and we cover the entire state. And we are the network that connects businesses to our embassies and consulates overseas. We have about 75 offices in those embassies and consulates, and we connect our businesses to those resources that are there. So it's really pretty cool. Like, we're
And
the connectors.
how long have you been doing this job?
Well, I've actually only been doing this job in Boise for a couple months because I ran off and joined the Foreign Service and
Mhm.
was in one of those 75 offices. I actually was only in two of them. The first one was in Sydney, Australia, and the second one was in Buenos Aires, Argentina. But I have a long history working in Idaho, which I love. And my boss asked if I was interested in coming back home when a position opened up here. So it's a brand new position that I get to work with, and I'm super excited to be back in Idaho working with the Idaho companies, especially with the experience I've had overseas, understanding how both sides of our network work.
Right. That's really cool because you've got the experience of being in country in a few different, at least two different kind of countries and seeing how it works there. But then
Ex-
now you're coming back here and bringing the
exactly.
expertise.
And I actually was a customer of the U.S. Commercial Service before I ever joined the Foreign Service. I represented the state for international tourism, which was a really fun job. And I learned an awful lot about all the different services that the Commercial Service has. So again, it's goods or services that, and tourism is a service. Bring in
Right.
those travelers, and that's international dollars helping our economy.
Right. And that was a learning for me, actually. You referred to tourism as an export, which in effect it is, right? You're getting US
So
foreign dollars into the local economy.
exactly, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So super cool. And again, I suspect that many people didn't even know this existed. And we'll talk a little bit later about, how do you know you're ready for this? What do you do when you're ready for this? What if you're not ready for it? We'll get into that in a little bit. But let me start with what will seem is, maybe a really dumb question, which is why export? Like why, if
Yeah,
I'm running a business here and it's going well here, why should I even be thinking about exporting?
absolutely. It's a very common question, and a lot of times people don't even. They're busy enough trying to chase business in the United States, which is a fabulous opportunity. But the reality is, 95% of consumers are outside the United States. I mean, who knew? And due to the internet, a product can be found by anyone anywhere. And so we actually find that we're helping an awful lot of accidental exporters. And that's what I anticipate would probably happen with some of our audience today is they've got a really cool product that's actually global in nature right out of the gate. And they're attracting some attention internationally, especially if they've set up their website to be globally fine, good for the international searches. So. And we found that global sales can really help a company grow. We have some statistics behind it, but I won't bore you with that. But it really helps with seasonal fluctuations, and the health of a company is greatly improved when exports are part of their mix.
Right. And we'll get into some examples in a little bit, but can you talk broadly about the services that you provide, maybe sort of categories of services and a couple of examples? There's a lot, so we're not getting
Yeah.
into super detail here, but give people a sense of the kinds of things that you can help them with.
Well, first and foremost, it's just free counseling to give them an idea of where their product fits in the big scheme of things, if they are suitable for exporting, if there's a market and an interest for it. And one country might have no interest whatsoever, and another country really can. And we've got these experts all around the world who help us, meaning our own staff in these embassies and consulates, that will get on a call and do a free consultation to talk about what the likelihood of your idea, your product would be in that market. So first and foremost, that's the bulk of what we do. But then we get more strategic, and we'll help with some planning. We'll help with identifying markets. And in fact, people can even do this on their own. We have a very robust website that they can get into. It's export.gov. And it's really easy to go in and do self-assessments and learn a lot about different markets and different industry sectors and what's trending in those sectors, what's popular, what kind of products are needed from the US. And we enjoy a very, very good reputation internationally for quality and the ability to guarantee what we're doing. So it really goes back to the quality of what we tend to produce in the United States is a really great cachet in many, many markets. Once we have decided what markets and where to go, we should actually delve into how to best promote the product. And that might be business to business meetings, business to government meetings. It could be doing a single company promotion, helping somebody advertise. They already know where their market is. So all kinds of resources along those lines. And then I mentioned a bit about it. Maybe your product's something that belongs in the public sector with government. Well, we'll help with advocacy on that. And if you've got international competition, which you probably do if you're doing an international tender, we will actually step up and make sure that the host country understands you're a legitimate business and that the US government is backing you as
Mm.
somebody that they should actually take seriously. This goes through a small vetting process called advocacy, but it's really fabulous, and that's free if you have a product that is suitable for government tenders. So that's pretty exciting. We keep ourselves very much involved in trade events as well. And you can get involved in exporting, never leaving the US, because we bring international buyer delegations to the big trade shows where you're probably going anyway for your domestic markets. And so it can be a really easy way to dabble uh, with getting to know some people in the market. And as you would imagine, it's all about relationships, and it's never too early to start establishing relationships, even if you don't feel like you're ready for exporting, but you have an idea what a country that you would like to be doing business with. We can start those relationships really early.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of those, readiness questions in a little bit, but you did talk about a huge range of services, and you mentioned that a few of them are actually free. The counseling, for example, is a starting
Mhm.
point. And I think there are some fees for some of the other services, but they were quite reasonable. And there's also a lot of self-service resources, you said.
Absolutely. An initial market check is $350 for a small, medium-sized business, and you can roll that into a bigger service. We find that it's looking really good in that particular market, and you actually want to find a rep, or you want to find a distributor, or you want to find a joint venture partner. That's something we will help you do, and we'll line up those appointments. And if you need an interpreter, we'll line that up. And we've actually gotten pretty good at doing this all virtually, so you don't even have to
Mm.
travel. But of course, the fun of international trade is the great relationships and the opportunity to get to know a market. And that's actually something that's really important, is the nuances of a market. So we help hold your hand so you're not um, utilizing phraseology that wouldn't work
Right,
well in that particular country, and avoiding those social faux pas that might happen. So,
right. Okay, got it. So a lot to think about, but do you have any examples of companies that you all have worked with that you're particularly proud of, or you can kind of point to as an example?
yes, we have several, but I'm so glad you asked, because I brought a video I'd love to show
Oh,
you.
nice.
Yeah, a really
Very
cool
cool.
company that we've been working with for years that has really gone through the journey as a small company and has really focused a lot of their attention towards taking advantage of the global markets. So
All
let
right.
me show it to you.
Yeah, let's watch that video.
This is Allison with Recluse. We are based in Boise, Idaho, and we are a motorcycle clutch manufacturer. Welcome. We make clutches for off-road motorcycles, Harleys, ATVs, side-by-sides, and we're all about improving the riding experience, making a difference for people around the world. So we started working with the commercial service really almost 10 years ago. So we were at a time in our company when we really wanted to transition to become a more proactive exporter. We had some sales, just people reached out and said, hey, I'd like to sell your products in Italy or France. And we recognized that there was a lot of opportunity for us abroad. So I reached out to the local office, and from there, we initiated our first project. We were, at the time, looking for a new distributor in Germany. We had a partner change, and we were a little bit unsure how to proceed with getting market information, kind of identifying who the key players were in that market. So we were able to connect with the commercial service in country, and they did an international partner search for us and really gave us a great list of contacts to reach out to and see if we could connect with someone to replace our distributor there. One of the other projects we did was 2 Gold Key services in Brazil and Chile. So we recognized that there was opportunity for us in South America. We weren't really sure what that looked like. So we went ahead with those services, which were just so great. We literally showed up, we had itineraries, we had support, we had translation services, met with people on the ground to kind of help prep us for our meetings with potential partners. We went to those meetings and we really learned a lot about the market. It was just a seamless experience. It was affordable and really, really helpful for us. So export business for Recluse is about 20 to 25% of our overall sales. So it's really meaningful for our company to export. And it directly supports at least 3 jobs here at Recluse. So we know that these are really important. It's important to have our business be diversified in countries. It helps with our seasonality to be exporting. Things happen in South America at different times of year. So it's really meaningful for us to be exporting. I would absolutely recommend the commercial service programs to any company interested in exporting. It's really a great bridge to anything you're looking for. Really, they have such a broad range of services, and the people on the ground, I mean, they're in countries everywhere and they have expertise, and you may not think they understand your very niche product. We were skeptical of that, but these people are there to study your company and learn what the opportunities are for you in their markets, and I'd highly recommend the services.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. It's like, I want to go buy a motorcycle now and ride it in another country.
Well, yeah, we've had fun with that company. We've even brought some of their reps over and shown them around Idaho. So yeah, a lot of fun with that company.
Oh, that's very
Recluse
cool.
is great. Yes.
That's great. And that's a great, I mean, that video really showcases, what the services are and how you get access to these resources. And we'll have links as well that are available with people too for later, but you saw a lot of them embedded in there as we went through that. So, okay, so now let's get down to kind of brass tacks. So you've got in this audience here a bunch of folks who are either starting businesses or thinking about starting businesses, or have a business, but they're maybe starting to think about going global. What should leaders of these companies start to think about, start to consider before they're ready to go global?
Well, first and foremost, it goes right back to their website, which they're already thinking about. And it's no big deal to be thinking about the fact that it's a global audience and you might have a product that solves an international need. And if somebody's looking for it, they don't know where you are or who you are. So making that clear on your website and having things like USA on your website is good because back to the quality point,
Mm.
that creates reassurances there. Having a contact us form that accommodates a country. A lot of
Right.
times there's just no opportunity to put a country in there. Uh, having there's a lot of website globalization one can do. We have some free videos on our website that give you some guidance in that regard on our e-commerce site, and really thinking in regards to e-commerce, which I think probably everybody in this audience is, but be broad because you just never know where you're going to. And I think Allison mentioned accidental. Um, they were found accidentally, and then
Right.
they start having that happen, and that should happen to all of our people here as they if they have a really good idea. Let's hope it's a good global one. So
Right. So Karen, you mentioned export.gov. I know there's also a bunch of resources on trade.gov. How should people think about those two websites? Do they use both as resources, or one that's particular for some set of people and others for others, or how should they navigate that?
well, they're actually one and the same.
Okay.
And so it doesn't matter which one they use, they're going to be able to navigate. Export.gov is where we have really designed it for the intake of our US customers. And so trade.gov was something more for our international clients, but it all is the same information that comes together for people. Export.gov is probably the easiest place to start. It's the place where we are building even more portals that you'll probably see over the next year that help people in their new to exporting journey to understand where they are. So we kind of guide along. There's an awful lot of self-help so that they can do this on their own privately and in the comfort of their own exploration without feeling the pressure while they're figuring out what they want to do.
Right. And I know I said this, but I would really reinforce this to folks is that there's a ton of self-service resources. So even before you do anything else, just go check it out, right? Go check out the video as well as all these resources, and we'll go from there. And actually,
Yeah, there's a
speaking of,
podcast too.
oh wait, oh yeah, you did mention that
Yeah,
when we were prepping. So talk about the
yeah.
podcast.
Well, it's called Export Nation, and again, it's on export.gov. But yeah, every couple of weeks we have a really cool story, and they're just inspirational. And they're little guys, little companies that are finding their way along this route. And that's really my interest in really reassuring people that it's never too early to let us know. We're a portal for them. A channel multiplier, you might say, that we will get them down the right path and talking to the right people. If they're not ready for exporting, we'll tell them, but we'll get
Mm,
them to the right people who will help them on their next step. And eventually, we just want them to have exporting in the back of their mind so that when the time comes, they know the resources are there and they don't have to do it on their own.
right. And I was going to ask you actually, what specific steps should people take when they think they're ready to start exploring, maybe a specific international markets? It sounds like check out the website, contact you all. What else should they be doing early on?
Well, yeah, you're right. Contact us and never feel like they are too small to be talking to us. That they deserve our attention, and it's really the small and medium-sized businesses that that's our sweet spot, really. We then really get into strategizing with them, and we're going to want to make sure that they're ready to make the commitment because there is a time and there is a money commitment that does come into play here. They want to be serious about figuring out their export prices. They need to be very serious, and this is actually even before they're ready for exporting, but protecting their intellectual property. And I'm sure
Mm,
this audience doesn't need to be lectured much on that, but even if they're not planning on exporting, there could be international players who are interested in copying what they've got before they ever get to market. So protecting their IP internationally is very important, especially if they have something that is vulnerable to being duplicated elsewhere. And we have a super website to help out there that everybody should look at no matter what. It's stopfakes.gov.
okay.
And yeah, one word, stopfakes.gov. That's run through Commerce as well, my agency, but it's with the help of the FBI and all the folks that are out there helping to keep theft from happening. And if you do feel that you have some issues there, we do want to talk to you about that to get you the help you need.
So does that site give you some tips and sort of preventative things that you can do?
Yeah, and it tells you where you're protected and where you're not protected. There's an awful
Okay.
lot of ideas where you think you're just doing fine and you're not. So it gives you the steps of what you need to be aware of and how to protect yourself. And we do some webinars, usually every year. We haven't been able to do it recently, but I think next spring we'll have another stopfakes.gov workshop. So if you're interested in that, definitely get in touch and we'll keep you posted when that happens.
Okay, that's great. Stopfakes.gov, everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned protecting your intellectual property. I'm just wondering, are there other, pitfalls that may trip up sort of an inexperienced exporter, someone who hasn't done this before? Any like basic mistakes that people can avoid, on that journey?
They first off, not calling us, winging it, not paying attention to export compliance and how to do the shipping and how to protect themselves, financing it themselves rather than seeking out export-import finance bank or something along those lines. And we connect you to all those people who will take care of that. You don't have to understand all of that stuff. We get you to the people who will take care of you and help you with the export compliance and with the financing of your exports and your freight forwarding and all that kind of stuff. It's a wonderful network that exists to help you. They're the experts and we connect you to them.
Right. I can imagine there's probably people who think they might have an opportunity, but are so daunted by what they would need to know to even sell their first item overseas that they just don't do it.
Right. Or they're so excited they don't vet it properly. And
Mm.
that's another service that we do where maybe somebody approaches you at a trade show and says, I want to represent your product. Or somebody wants to buy and it just seems too good to be true. Well, remember those 75 offices I have overseas? We can have somebody actually go check them out. They'll check their references. We'll make sure that we're really there to protect the U.S. interests, and it's very important for us to protect those small businesses from making decisions that might be harmful to them. So,
right. Okay. Well, this has just been a huge amount of information and I think super useful and hopefully, helps people kind of along the path here. And I'm just wondering, before we wrap up, because we just have a few more minutes, is there anything else that you want to share with the Boise entrepreneur community, the broader Idaho community, on this matter of sort of, thinking about going global?
Well, it's whether they're thinking about it or not, others are, and it's really the world that it is now. And we're really here to help. We want to know and help you in your export journey. And as I mentioned, if you're not quite ready for us, we'll know who's the right people to help you with your next steps, because we all work together with some really great partners, whether it's the Small Business Administration or Idaho Commerce, really fabulous people. And in fact, Idaho Commerce has some super grants that are available for new to exporting or expanding into new markets. And very worthwhile. Every year they funnel these through this Small Business Administration. They're called STEP grants, and they're really fabulous. So highly recommend getting in touch with Idaho Commerce in regards to that. And of course, talking to us about their whole global idea and plans. And check out export.gov.
All right, cool. So STEP grants, everyone remember that term, and that is competitive, you told me. So people need to like really put their plans together. And I also really appreciate the fact that if it's not right for export right now, you all won't just hang up the phone. You'll actually point people to the SBA or Idaho Commerce or another agency that might be able to.
Idaho Tech. I mean, there's all kinds of different resources. And of course, in our day-to-day job, we meet really cool other companies. So it might be that we're just networking you with a really synergistic company that would be great for you to partner with. So we're just networking ourselves, and we really want people to be successful. So we continue the networking. That's what we do.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Karen, I think we're out of time, but I just want to say thank you so much for spending the time with me and for our audience. I hope this is helpful. You all know where to go. You know who to contact. She's right here in Boise, and she's looking out for you and hoping to help your business grow outside the U.S. Good for you and good for the U.S. economy. So thank you.